going to call the meeting to order, please. And a motion, please, for the adoption of the agenda for the August 25th, 2015 regular meeting of council. Are there any additions? Okay.
Your Worship, I'd like to add to new business, please, a proposed use for some village-owned property on 13th and Ash.
Okay.
To refer it back to staff.
Okay.
No decisions have to be made tonight.
Okay. Second that motion. So that's moved by Councillor Torgerson and seconded by Councillor Blanchette. That proposed use for village-owned property, there's 50-some acres there, on 13th and Ash Street, be added to the agenda. Okay, all in favor? Carried. And also, I need a motion for policy number 62, snow removal policy. I need that, and Councillor Blanchette, of course, she was one who brought it forward. Some say that that's a four-letter word that's not allowed in August, snow. Okay, could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Salt. Moved by Councillor Blanchette and seconded by Councillor Salt that the, yes?
Just as a point of clarification, what is the nature of the motion?
I would like Public Works to go over this and the snow removal policy and Public Works Committee. Sorry, because I'd like to have it looked at and tweaked.
Yes.
Okay. You guys get to have fun with it this time.
Are you providing the shovel?
I will come to the meeting if you need me, but I'm
Providing the shovel.
I'll give you a shovel.
Yes.
So just as a clarification then, this would be under new business as well. So discussion concerning the referral of policy 62 related to snow removal, being referred to the Public Works Committee for reconsideration or tweaking.
Tweaking, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's an addition to the agenda.
Yes.
Okay. All in favor of the addition to the agenda? Carried.
So the main motion then?
Yes. The main motion is adoption of the agenda for the August 25th, 2015 regular meeting of council as amended with the two agenda items. All in favor? Carried. We have a mover and a shaker for that, don't we?
You do.
Yes. All right. I'll take a motion, please, for the adoption of the minutes of the August 11th, 2015 regular meeting. Councillor Salt and Councillor Torgerson. Are there any errors or omissions? Yes, I was looking directly at you, just waiting. Okay.
On page 4 of 6 of the minutes, resolution number 315/15. And during the council reports, it's indicating moved, seconded, and carried that council receives verbal reports provided by Mayor Townsend and Councillors Blanchette, Reimer, Salt, and Torgerson. I wasn't present at that meeting.
Oh, all right. Thank you very much.
I guess I could have.
Right, you were not.
You wish you were, though.
I wish I was, but yeah,
Well, we're happy to have you back, Councillor Salt.
thank you.
Okay. So we'll cross that out.
So the amendment then would be to delete a reference to Councillor Salt from
315.
Resolution 31515.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Anything further? That's all? Okay. Thank you then. All in favor of the adopting the minutes of the August 11th meeting as corrected? Carried. And we have reporting out from the minutes of the August 11th, 2015 in-camera council meeting. Oh, there's no resolution required. This is just a report from the in-camera council meeting wherein Andrew Young was appointed as a signing authority and as subdivision approving officer for the village of Valemount, and that these appointments would be reviewed following the hiring of a new administrative officer. So that's noted. Correspondence for action. District of Mackenzie proposed restructuring of council, or rather School District 57 Board of Trustees for 2018 election. And the staff recommendation is that council gives support to the proposal from the District of Mackenzie to establish a mechanism for the election of school district trustees from rural municipalities to ensure adequate representation in the future on the School District 57 Board of Trustees. What is council's wish? Moved by Councillor Blanchette, seconded by Councillor Salt, that council gives support to the proposal. I should like to advise council at this time that the Regional District of Fraser-Fort George, there was discussion there last Thursday, and all the rural directors and rural directors that are municipal directors as well, were all in favor of this. Okay? So is there any discussion? Yes, councillor?
Was there ever a time when each area had their own school trustee?
I don't know if it was legislated, but I do remember that Eva Kettle
I think she just won.
was a school trustee from Valemount. And she went to Prince George for meetings regularly.
Because that's been the scenario with our rural areas not being represented,
Yes.
is that Prince George carries all the votes,
Yes.
and you kind of have to campaign in Prince George in order to get on there.
Well, the Regional District of Fraser-Fort George, as I say, all of the directors supported this.
So each of us, like Valemount, McBride,
And Mackenzie,
Mackenzie, would
each have their own
Have
representative.
their own
And perhaps
representative.
Valemount and McBride would share one. Okay, we'll see where it goes. Okay. Is there any further discussion on this or questions? Councillor
I thought that
Torgerson?
was a point of discussion during our strategic planning with the school district,
Yes.
that more representation be sent out to the rural areas.
Yes. Now, I know that at the All Candidates Forum, they all agreed with it too when they were asked this question. However, nobody seems to pursue it any further following the election. But I think with the District of Mackenzie now taking action, there will be certainly discussion and amendments made. Okay? Any further comments or remarks? All in favor? Carried. Asbestos awareness and registries, proposals from the Vancouver Island Building Trades dated July 30th. Staff recommendation is that council support the establishment of a national building registry of all public buildings which utilize products containing asbestos. The staff recommendation. Councillor Salt, Councillor Torgerson, you want to recommend the staff recommendation? Or move and second that? I see that they sent copies of that letter to all of the premiers in Canada, and I was thinking that perhaps this was under provincial jurisdiction. I don't know. Do you have an answer? Yes.
It is both, well, there's a, federally, there has
Yeah.
been a decision actually respecting asbestos
Okay.
and sale of asbestos as well. Provincially, it is a health matter.
Yes.
But that said, it's clear from the correspondence that they are seeking support on a, call it a national level as well as a
Okay.
local level.
Okay.
It's council's pleasure.
Yes. Yes. Well, I think council is in favor, are you not? Does anybody have any remarks, comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. 6.3, Resort Municipalities Initiative, the Mayor's Working Group request for support. Staff recommendation is that council endorses the proposed research lobbying initiative circulated to British Columbia's resort municipalities by the RMI mayors. And the working group, 2, which endorses the Village of Valemount actively participating in the proposed research and lobbying initiative. And 3, approve providing $625 in direct financial support for the research lobbying initiative proposed by the RMI Mayor's Working Group. What is council's pleasure? Salt and Torgerson. You move the 3 recommendations, all right. Is there any discussion or questions? No, hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Item 6.4, the VARDA request for the Village of Valemount appointment for 2015 and 16 season. And staff recommendation is that council reappoints Councillor Torgerson. Councillor Torgerson, are you willing to be reappointed to
Absolutely.
VARDA? Okay. Okay. So then, a motion please to reappoint Councillor Torgerson to serve as council's representative on the board of the Valemount and Area Recreation Development Association for the 2015-16 season. Blanchette and Reimer. Any discussion? I want to thank you for representing council.
You're most certainly welcome. I'm having a blast over there.
Good, well, we're glad you're having a blast. Okay, all in favor? Carried. And 6.5, Kinder Morgan invitation to observe North Thompson River deployment exercise on September 17th, 2015. And the staff recommendation is that council authorizes Councillor Torgerson to attend the Kinder Morgan North Thompson River deployment exercise. And I'll take a motion for that, please. Blanchette and Reimer. Are you willing to do that? I think you're interested.
Yeah, the reason I asked staff to put this on the agenda, Your Worship, was because of the travel involved now, because we will be staging in Blue River rather than what I would have thought maybe Hargrave or Upper Fraser or something like that, but there is some travel involved.
Okay, good. So you are in favor then, and you asked staff to include this. Fine. Does anybody have any questions? Or Councillor Salt?
I would have loved to join you, being on the emergency planning committee.
Yes.
But I'm going to be too terribly busy at work before UBCM, so I've attended and participated in other exercises with them, so I think it's great that you're going to get the opportunity this time.
Then perhaps next time, if you're free, you can accompany Councillor Torgerson. That's right, okay.
And of note, I did request those brochures that you asked.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
Anything further? Council? All in favor? Carried. And we have the reading file. There's no motion required, but is there anything that council wishes to bring forward?
Yeah.
Councillor?
7.6, I would just like to congratulate Rashmi for completing her Community Economic Development Certificate.
Yes.
And she gave all of council one of these books. I look forward to reading it and to talking to you about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashmi. Do you want to put that in a motion?
No,
No?
that would be
Okay.
regular.
All right.
Thank
I
you.
was going to put it in a motion if Rashmi wasn't here to personally hear us, so.
Has anybody on council read it?
The book.
Just the recommended parts thus far.
Just the recommended parts? Okay. Do you want to make any remarks to Rashmi while she's here?
Not at this time.
Okay. Councillor Salt, did you have something further?
Yes, I'd like to bring up the Provincial UBCM Green Communities Committee recognition of Valemount's participation in BC's Climate Action Recognition Program. And this year we've been, as a charter signatory who has completed corporate carbon inventory for the 2014 reporting year and demonstrated familiarity with the community energy and emissions inventory, we have been awarded level 2 recognition measurements. So that's great news. It's showing that our staff have been tracking and reporting,
Yes.
and we're being recognized for it.
Yes, yes. I read that, and I think that that's commendable of the staff. Okay. Is there anything further that council wishes to bring forward? Okay, hearing none, we go on to number 8. The administrative reports. The proposed development variance permit for 1205 Canoe View Place. The staff report is here. And the staff recommendation is that council authorizes staff to prepare proposed development variance permit 0515 to relax the maximum height regulation specified in section 6.38 of zoning bylaw number 610, 2007 as amended, to allow construction of an accessory building with a maximum height of up to 5.4 meters in accordance with the drawings presented by the applicants, subject to receipt of a site plan prepared by a BC legal surveyor, confirming the size and siting of the proposed accessory building and the existing structures on the property, as well as compliance with the setback requirements of the residential R1 zoning schedule, and notify the public of council's intention to issue the permit or deny the application. What is council's wish? Councillor Torgerson?
I move that we authorize staff to prepare a proposed development variance 0515.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Reimer. Is there any discussion or any questions? Yes, Councillor Salt.
I noticed that there weren't any drawings of the cross sections or elevations attached to our report. Did you receive any of those?
Not at this time.
So we don't really know what the building's proposed to look like.
We will have once the applicant has council's assurance, at least in terms of direction from council to staff, to consult with the public.
Yeah.
The applicant is prepared to, prepare a site plan, and we can also ask for drawings of cross-section. Would you, perhaps what you might like to do with the motion is to amend the motion to include the site, not only the site plan, but the cross-section?
I'm comfortable with knowing that it's going to go through the public process. I just want to make sure that, because there has been some previous precedent setting in that neighborhood and some past history of some non-compliance during construction where all of a sudden guest suites were being built in lofts of the garages without proper permitting and building codes. I just want to make sure that that is all followed and is being abided by.
Yes, Councillor Torgerson.
I can assure Councillor Salt that the primary building is near 2/3 completed.
And I understand that, but we've also had where there has been a primary building and then an accessory building built
With
So there has been a past history of some trouble, and I just want to make sure that that's complied with.
Then if the staff will merely prepare a proposed development variance permit, it will still have to come back to council. However, if there was variations done in the past, there has to be consideration given to precedent setting.
So
Yes, Mr. Young.
if I may, if a party is constructing a building and chooses partway through the construction of the structure to depart from what has been approved under the building permit, during the inspection process, staff will, under normal circumstances, will notice that. If the situation is egregious enough, we will be bringing that back to council for decision and for enforcement.
Does that satisfy you, Councillor?
Which is what
Okay.
happened with one of the serious cases.
Okay, good. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Item 8.2, proposed development permit, variance permit for 1160 Fifth Avenue. The staff recommendation is that council authorizes staff to prepare development permit 0215 to permit the siting of a second accessory building on the property legally described as Parcel A, being a consolidation of lots 3 and 4, District Lot 9778, Caribou District Plan PGP 35390, thereby varying the number of accessory buildings specified in Section 12.4.2 of the Central Commercial Zone in accordance with the application submitted by the applicant, subject to the placement of a wood fence to screen the structure from view from Fifth Avenue, and to notify the public of council's intention to issue the permit or deny the application. What is council's wish? Councillor Blanchette?
I'd like to move it, but I know that Councillor Salt had some issues with it, so I just wanted to check if you were good with the issues when you discussed them with Councillor Reimer.
I think we need to get it on
Okay,
the
I need a
table.
seconder, please.
Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Reimer, okay.
So I'm
Councillor
just
Salt, yes.
wondering, before I waste too much time, I just would like to know if staff have researched some of the past history of previous tenants and their denial of an accessory building on there and some of the reasoning to that, because I'm concerned that should this get approved, and previous ones, now it is a different circumstance. Previously it was a transport trailer, so like about 72 foot long on axles and wheels. This is different as a sea can container. I just would like to know what some of the reasoning was, why that was denied at that time, to see if there would be anything that would cause the same problem this time.
Yes, Mr. Young.
So to start with, I have gone through the property file for this address, and I have found actually no reference to what you're referring to. The file appears to be complete. It includes a lot of details related to the construction of the building, a new roof, etc., building permits, inspections, etc., but there's no reference to a 72-foot wheeled semi-trailer in the file. So that said, Councillor, with respect, what is proposed is in the nature of a relatively small sea can, as is outlined in the application. A portion of the proposed sea can would be screened by the existing building, and then the balance of the proposed sea can, it is the applicant's intention to screen that with a wood fence.
And it would go through a public hearing process, correct? Does this not? Or
It should.
This is
because
a
it's-
little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
This is a little bit unique from what council has normally seen in terms of permits. This is a development permit with a variance attached to it. Under the Local Government Act, council may, using the development permit instrument, also include a variance. And that's what we're proposing here. Rather than have the applicant submit two simultaneous applications, we've rolled this into one. What I have tried to do is provide a little bit of additional clarity here in terms of the language that this is a development permit that includes the variance, proposed variance. In this area, the zoning bylaw is very clear that the placement of an accessory building does require a development permit. And not only that, within the central business district development permit area, the placement of a structure of any kind, including an accessory building, would also require a development permit. The need for the variance permit in this case is because the applicant already has an existing accessory building. Staff have inspected that building. It's quite small and fully utilized. The applicant has sought permission to put a second accessory building on the property because they are maxed out in terms of their existing capacity. The other thing too is that they are presently renting space off-site to store some of the goods and materials that they're presently using within the brewery.
So they are already doing that.
They are already in need.
And sorry.
Go ahead.
I mean, I'm thrilled and pleased when a local business is doing well enough and requiring extra space. I mean, we certainly know that that's been an ongoing problem with a number of local businesses. We know IGA is always maxed out with space as well. So it's not that I don't support this. I just want to make sure that we don't have some previous people come back wondering why they were denied. But I like I said, I know this is a different case.
Councillor Torgerson.
With the applicant clearly running out of space, do you know if there's anything in the works for expansion?
Go ahead, Mr. Young.
Taking up a lot of airtime.
Well, that's fine.
Staff have had, although the application doesn't reflect this, staff have had two conversations with the applicant. They've indicated that it is their hope that they will be able to enlarge the size of the business by expanding onto what is now the larger property following the merger of the two properties. That, as I understand, will be subject to further consideration by the applicant as their resources permit. And it may also be subject to acquisition of the property.
Do we have a timeline on that? Ish.
I understand. I'm a little uncomfortable providing council with an assurance here
Yes.
on the behalf of the applicant, but based on the conversations that we've had, it might be anywhere from 2 to 3 years.
Okay. Yes, Councillor.
Then I would ask for a friendly amendment,
Yes.
being that a CCAN is temporary, that we put a timeline to this.
Okay.
I would like
3 years, 36 months.
I'd be more comfortable with that as well.
Okay, so you're moving that amendment, Councillor Torgerson, and seconded by Councillor Salt, that the motion be amended to put time limit of 36 months for the variance. to have a CCAN, right? Which is a steel structure, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
completely
Yes.
portable.
Okay, Councillor?
Would it be too financially onerous on the applicant to also screen the north side so that the residential properties backing it don't have to be looking at a CCAN container?
I don't think it would be onerous for the applicant. But again, I'm not speaking for the applicant.
I know. I'm just thinking of the people that are backing onto that,
Mhm.
having to look at that. But that's just.
That is
that's just me.
reasonable consideration, though. Would it be out of order to discuss it with the applicant?
I could certainly raise it with the applicant, or if council so chooses, you also have the luxury of a further amendment to the proposed recommendation to include
Yes.
the screening on the north side.
Yes, yeah. I think that Councillor Salt raised a good point. Rather than having complaints come and...
It just shows good neighbor
Good neighbor.
relations.
Yes, Councillor Reimer.
If we're gonna put a time limit on the, on the CCAN, then I would suggest also putting a condition on there that it's open for review after the 3-year period. Secondly, the screening can be complete. That's readily visible. Is there my other question is there a prescription on the kind of wood fencing? Or if that hasn't been defined, wood,
There is a picture in our agenda.
that's the proposed wood fencing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
So we're amending now, Councillor Reimer is amending it even further.
Well, I am
Okay, now
keeping,
we need to have, we need to have votes on the other amendments first. Okay?
if I may make
You
a
can read them up.
suggestion.
Yes,
Councillor Torgerson has provided a motion, it's been seconded,
yes,
to amend
Yes.
the staff recommendation to include a time limit of 36 months.
yes.
And if Councillor Torgerson accepts the other two suggestions as friendly amendments, that would simplify this.
Okay.
I'll accept that.
You'll accept that?
That the north side is fenced, as well as a condition that it can be reconsidered in 36 months.
And
Councillor Salt would, Councillor Salt would need to accept the
Yes.
friendly amendment.
I accept
You
the
are
friendly
seconding
amendment as well.
the friendly amendment, okay. Are there any further suggestions to amend?
Nothing, Holly?
Can't think of anything? Okay, so I would like to ask if you are ready for voting on the amendment. Okay, all in favor, carried, and
One point of clarification, if
Yes.
I may, Mayor Townsend. Councillor Salt had also raised this question about a further distinction here as well, just in terms of the development permit versus variance permit.
okay,
For clarity, a development permit does not necessarily need to go to the public. A variance permit does, and so there would be a formal referral of the application, or at least a notice of the application that would go out to surrounding property owners concerning the variance
Okay.
permit. Yeah,
okay.
Versus a public hearing.
Yeah.
yes, there's no public hearing for a variance permit.
Okay. All right, if there's no further discussion, all in favor of the motion as amended? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Council reports. I'll start with Councillor Salt.
I was gonna say, you must go with me first, seeing that I missed the last meeting, and I probably don't have a whole lot to report, other than, oh my goodness. I attended a Valemount Public Library Building Committee meeting on Thursday, August 6th, reviewing the proposed renovations to the basement of the library in order to help provide more space, more usability for groups until the library can get to the point of their dream of the actual expansion. There's still some more work and discussions to be had there, and I look forward to it, and I think it'll help alleviate some of their space constraints that they currently are dealing with. So, and then I also missed the last council meeting. Just almost over what I've been sick with, but still hanging on. And we attended a presentation today from MIA BC, Municipal Insurance Association BC, and found that very interesting, and I was really pleased to have them come out and give us some history about the MIA BC and fill us in on just all the different services that they provide to their members, so that was really exciting. And unfortunately, my Trans-Canada Yellowhead Highway Association board meeting had been postponed on the 21st, so I was unable to take part in that conference.
Councillor Salt, is the Trans-Canada Yellowhead meeting in Vancouver during UBCM?
Not this year.
Not this year, okay.
No, we're going to be targeting the area associations next year.
Okay.
We're in the process of developing a PowerPoint presentation that some of us directors from the different provinces can actually take to different communities to present on the association and help try and revive some of the membership. So we'll be targeting the area associations next year, and then we were looking at possibly UBCM as well next year.
I've been discussing this with Mayor Lynn Hall in Prince George, and he has not said no. Okay, he's interested, but we'll have to get him more information, okay?
That's why I'll be following up on that presentation,
That's
because
right.
I did indicate to them that I would like to come and do a presentation once I had the materials, so.
That's good. Okay, thank you. Councillor Torgerson.
On Wednesday the 12th, I met briefly with a group of people and the Minister of Agriculture, Letnick, and then shortly thereafter I attended a VARDA meeting that evening. On the 20th, I was able to make it to a Chamber of Commerce meeting. Lots discussed there. And then just today I was given a rousing presentation by the MIA-BC lawyers. Very informative.
Wasn't it? Just, yes. Thank you.
Oh, and I should add, sorry, Your Worship,
Yes.
I'd like to congratulate VARDA on the opening of the first phase of the mountain bike park.
Yes. Good. Councillor Reimer?
I'm amazed what Councillor Torgerson refers to as rousing.
was great. That made me dry and boring.
Well, it brought back a lot of memories. I was in the business in those days when MIA was born. Yeah. I as well attended the meeting with the Agricultural Minister on the 12th. Very interesting. A lot of good questions from the audience, and it was a good presentation. And then this afternoon for an hour, I also attended the MIA Municipal Insurance Association of BC meeting. It was a good presentation.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, Councillor Blanchette?
On the 13th, I had a meeting at the clinic with Northern Health for health issues concerning Valemount. The 17th and 18th, I attended both focus groups for the age-friendly. They were really well attended. Everybody had really good input to offer the consultant. She was really overwhelmed. She said she hadn't seen this many people in Richmond attend. So that was a bonus. And I just want to reiterate that we have a lot of the surveys that she wants filled out at the library. They're in paper form, or if you come in when I'm there, I can help you fill out one online. You don't have to mail it. I'll take care of all of that. We have a box at the library to put them in. Like I said, it was a really good, successful. We should be getting that draft in December.
Good.
If I may.
Yes.
Actually, earlier than December.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yes.
Okay. And then today, of course, I attended the MIA meeting, which is really great, finding out all the different things that they offer. I had no idea. So it was good. That's it.
Thank you. I was very pleased to see such a good turnout to meet Minister Letnick, the Minister of Agriculture here. And I phoned around and found out who was interested in agriculture, and they said, each one of them said, well, there's this one, and I was pleased that 98% of the people I invited came, and it was a very good meeting. And the thing that astounded me is I thought this happened only in old Western cowboy movies, that there is cattle rustling going on. That absolutely amazes me. And when I mentioned it at Regional District, because we did have agriculture presentations there, it's not only here that cattle rustling is going on. And it's very expensive, and it's an expensive loss to the rancher. So I said, well, maybe they need to get their horses out, the cowboys, and their guns, and, and go play cowboys. And also Regional District Fraser Fort George last week. So, and that was it. Thank you. Oh, and I did very much appreciate the Municipal Insurance Association of BC presentations today. Those two presenters were a couple of real crackerjack ladies, and I appreciated them very much. In the short hour, they gave us a lot of information, and a lot of valuable information. Thank you. And I'm sure that the staff found them very helpful and informative earlier today too.
It was very thorough.
Yes, okay. Thank you. And new business?
Actually, motion, please.
Oh, sorry, motion to receive. Blanchette and Torgerson. All in favor? Carried. New business. I think Councillor Torgerson has
There
some.
were two items under
Two
new
items,
business.
yes.
The first item under new business is a proposed use of the village's property located at 13th and Ash, and a referral of the material that Councillor Torgerson has brought forward to council tonight to staff to examine.
Okay, Councillor Torgerson, you want to make a motion and we'll get it seconded and then you can talk.
I'd like to make a motion that we have a proposed use for that piece of property that's currently owned by the village of Valemount, which could lead to planned future use.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Blanchette. It's open for discussion now.
The property in, pardon me,
Yes.
the property in question is approximately 60 acres, hit or miss. It's near the high school. It dumps out onto regional district land. It borders on regional district. It's in proximity of the mountain bike trails as well as the Cranberry Marsh, which will now be the wildlife protected area. And I propose that it be set aside for now for some walking trails, year-round trails, cross-country skiing, etc. There's a site in there that's currently used by Public Works that they're in the process of reclamating now. This is a multi-partner, multi-cost sharing proposal because of the boardwalk trail and the finishing of the boardwalk trail. This particular integrated trail system could empty onto that, and it also aligns nicely with the regional district's 10-year regional parks plan. And I'd like to refer it back to staff for a more thorough examination.
Okay. Is there any discussion or questions?
I think it's super.
Yes, it's a good idea.
Really good
Yes.
use of the property.
Now, I'm not sure, I know that when the high school purchased property to build the high school, it seems to me that there were several, about 4.5 acres, and I could be wrong, set aside for their future needs. And I don't know if any of it is in there, but I don't think that would be significant at this time anyway, would it?
If I may.
Yes.
Because this is a new item
Yes.
raised under new business, We can certainly examine that. I'm not
Yes.
sure what might be in the file that was related to the
Yes.
purchase of the property, but that's certainly a good question that we should
Okay.
examine.
Yes. I'm just not sure, it seems to me 4.5 acres rings a bell somewhere. But do you remember, Councillor
I
Salt?
know that they actually had made an application to council last term behind the school, so east of the school, for some garden area, so, and trees, fruit trees, et cetera. So there will be some documentation on the files about
Okay,
that.
that's good. And that can be looked into, and I'm sure that it wouldn't conflict with a trail anyway. Yes, Councillor?
And there will also need to be, we need to do a completed prescription of this land anyways.
Okay.
So if there's going to be forestry techs in there, they could be flagging it as they go.
Good.
Win-win-win.
Yes?
Again, if I may.
Yes.
Given the significant nature of the proposal, aside from the recommendation that this be referred to staff for further examination, I would suggest that this be an item that be considered by full council sometime in October.
Yes, yes. With a report brought back for consideration at that time. Okay? And is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried.
Good.
Good. And then the,
Second item
Yes.
was related to the Village of Valemount Policy 62, snow removal policy. And this was placed under new business for possible referral to the village's Public Works Committee for review and subsequent report.
yes, okay. Moved by Councillor Blanchette, seconded by, can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Salt, that this be referred to the Public Works Committee comprised of Councillors Reimer and Torgerson to look into the issue and bring back a report to council. Yes,
Can
Councillor?
I just mention, one of the reasons why I brought this back is I get a lot of snow removal complaints, as we all do. But I get them from a lot of first responders who can't get out of their driveways to get to the ambulance, to get to the person that's in trouble. We've had that happen where the people can't get out of their driveway because they're snowed in, because the plows have gone by and put 4 feet of snow in the driveway. Now we are calling 911 and we can't get anybody to come in. I myself fell in the ditch in between the parking slots and IGA last year. So luckily I wasn't a senior trying to get to the IDA to get their medicine. So this is a real concern for me. I want all of our citizens to be able to get out of their driveways, to get to the IGA, to get to the IDA comfortably, safely, and I want our 911 and our police and fire to be able to get to the people when they need help. It's that simple.
Councillor Reimer?
Well, one time last year when we had that kind of snow, everything was snowed in.
And that's understandable, you know?
But, yeah.
Not all of us have big yellow things, you know, but, you know, it's an issue.
You just jumped out the window.
I just wanted to say it, and yes, Councillor Salt.
Sorry. I think maybe it might also help the committee because I see that this most recent revision of this policy was effective October 28th, so that was before last year's snow season. Perhaps we have our logging of complaints so that they can also refer to what kind of complaints were raised. I'm sure most of them will be because of the 1 in 50-year snowfall that we had. But that might also just help alleviate and answer some of the areas that need attention and direction too. So.
Yes, Mr. Young.
So in knowing that this item was going to be raised, I did do a little bit of prior investigation on this, and I have contacted some of our first responders. Sorry, I just have to find the exact paper. So one of the things that I think will be important for the Public Works Committee to be looking at in relation to the snow clearing question is that some of our first responders are in fact actually getting their driveways cleared.
Not all of them.
Not all of them. And so that is a significant question that should be looked at. So while some first responders are certainly better able to get out of their driveways and respond to emergencies, there are some remaining questions about ambulance and police that certainly would be deserving of some investigation. Others, just for council's benefit, my understanding based on my inquiries is that all of the doctors working in Valemount actually live outside Valemount's boundaries, over which we have no control.
Yes, that's right. Okay. Thank you. I wanted to say that I did speak to a couple of the public works staff last year, and perhaps 2 times a year, 2 times a winter, probably maximum 3. I can recall that Wayne Schnell, a grader, public works staff, and Murray Capstick would go out at 4 o'clock in the morning. And they would clear the snow so that when everybody got up in the morning and went downtown or whatever, the streets were all cleared, and then they went home at 11 in the morning. They put in their 7 hours or 7.5 hours early and went home early. And as they said, they didn't mind doing it. It wasn't every week, it wasn't every month, it was just 2 or 3 times a winter. That was all. And that maybe that could be considered again. And that would sure solve a lot of unhappiness and dissatisfaction. Okay? So, all in favor then? Carried. Of reviewing, Public Works reviewing this.
Send you a report from Hawaii.
You'll send. That's a good place to send it
In the
from.
fishing rod, right?
Yeah. Okay. List of outstanding council resolutions. Staff recommendation is that council accepts the list of outstanding previous council resolutions. What is council's wish? Blanchette and Reimer. Any discussion? Hearing none? Yes, Councillor
I
Torgerson.
was just getting ready for the call.
Oh, okay. Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. All right. Public comment. The floor is open for public comments on items considered by council as part of the approved agenda. Yes.
Could you
First responder,
please stand and state your name?
Yes.
Eugene Jamin.
Yep.
I am a first responder, and that particular evening, dispatch did ask us, do you think you'd be able to get out? We said no. So we were stationed at the station all night. One of the things that became obvious at that point is that congestion happened very quickly, especially along the front street. So to a call, we had to weave in and out of the traffic. In your proposal for amendments, it would be good to identify priorities as to, this is a sequence of events in clearing. We will ensure these following routes be opened up, which would also help too, because at that point, the snow was so bad, everybody was parking everywhere. It was clogging everything. So I would recommend that it looked at staged, depending on the snowfall, what access routes are we going to target and make sure that they are accessible. And yes, my concern that evening was that if the grader would go by, I would not be able to get to the station. That's why dispatch had us stay at the station overnight.
Okay. Thank you. Yes?
Morning, Jane, 1353 Avenue. I also have a comment regarding snow removal. One morning a week, I push my friend Jim in a wheelchair, and when there's a berm of snow at every corner, it's really hard to push him through. So yes, sidewalks are cleaned, the road is clean, but at the corner, there's berms of snow.
Okay.
And seniors, you know, we have to, like, somebody needs to look at this and think, okay, this is not safe.
Okay.
Or this is not making our sidewalk accessible for people who are walking or pushing wheelchairs.
Okay. Thank you.
And I appreciate the work that's being done.
Thank you. Yes. Anything further? Yes?
I'm Rashmi Narayan, living at 1100 Gord Avenue. And this is about my comment pertains to the development permit or the variance permit on 1160 Fifth Avenue. And I do remember a proposal for a container being located on that property, and that can go ahead. I do remember that application. But my comment is with regards to what council discussed tonight, and just in view of all the work done for downtown revitalization and the business facade program, for me, locating a seed can seems counterintuitive to all that work that's been done. And yes, a wood fence definitely helps. But I really like that as a temporary solution, not a permanent solution. Because I feel like one of the big things for us, Valemount in tourism or just being a good place, is the appearance is really important, and others are putting in work to make it better. It just seems counterintuitive to me. And even the old Mauritian Motors where they have that trailer or the container there, it's still there, at least it was still there a few weeks ago, and it's not very appealing. So it's just, that's my concern. I'm sort of with Councillor Saul where she says, we want to support a business and want to help them, and they're growing, it's great, but also like how we want to say okay is also important because it sets a precedent for the community. So I just want to know.
Thank you. Thank you. Does anybody else have any comments?
Christine Torgerson, 2855 Birch Road, out in the burbs. I'm wondering if council neglected to Article 3. And it was regarding the redacted informal council meeting acceptance of the minutes. And it's on page 2 of 224.
Oh, there was no resolution required?
No, but then on the following page, it talks about redacted in-camera council meeting of the minutes.
Oh,
Yes?
Okay, so I'm wondering if it was accepted or
Oh,
noted, let's put it that way.
if I may.
go ahead,
Yeah.
Mr. Young, yes.
The notation that is appearing here is for convenience only. It's basically to signal that there are in-camera council meetings, in-camera council meeting minutes. Those were redacted. They're part of the agenda package. No resolution is required on council's part to
No,
adopt
I
them.
realize, but just for notation.
Yes.
And what it did was it just reported that what council had passed in camera was that Mr. Young be appointed as a signing authority and as a subdivision approving officer for the Village of Valemount. That was done in camera and it's reported here. Okay? Thank you. Is there anything further? Okay. Do we have a motion on the floor to receive the public comments?
Not yet.
Okay. Salt and Torgerson. Any discussion, questions? All in favor? Yes? Councillor?
Just one comment about the snow removal thing.
Okay.
And I think, our job probably is a little bit easier. I remember early in February when we went to meetings in Prince George, trying to walk through their sidewalks.
That was a nightmare, that's right.
You wouldn't be able to push any kind of wheelchair through their sidewalks downtown.
That's right.
It was absolutely bizarre.
And that was the actual sidewalk, not...
That was the
turning up to
actual
it.
sidewalk.
That's right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but in comparison, we can, if we do a better job, we probably have the cleanest sidewalks in the winter anywhere in BC.
As well as streets. Yeah. Okay, all in favor of receipt of the public comments? Carried. Now, we have a notice to proceed to in-camera meeting, that council proceed to an in-camera council meeting for consideration of one item per section 91 and/or of the community charter which relate to personal information about an identifiable individual who holds or is being considered for a position appointed by the municipality, and/or negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service that are at a preliminary stage that could be reasonably expected to harm the interests of the municipality if they were held in public. Councillor Salt and Councillor Torgerson. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.